Hello everyone, and welcome back to this 10th episode of Brilliancies by Mikhail. And today we are going to analyze a great game played by Mikhail against Evsky in the Soviet Union in 1952. So this game is going to be a feast for all of you who play the Sicilian defense, and this game exactly demonstrates how Black can tackle White's attack and launch a counter attack against a White king in the Sicilian defense. So let's dive right into the game. Uh, yeah, perfect. Okay, so let's start with the analysis. White has just played h4, which is a normal attacking idea for white. Usually, white goes for h4, g4, g5, as we have already seen, and white launches attack against a black king. And in Sicilian defense, for those who might know, it's actually a race. So it's a race between the white king and the black king who launches the attack first. So usually, white is victorious, but in this particular game, we will see how Tal has nicely manured his knight back to d7, and now this knight is going to play a very vital role in an attack against the white king. So for this h4 that Avisky has played, Tal actually plays the move knight to b6 here. And Tal says, well, okay, I'm offering this knight for this bishop, but in Sicilian, usually white doesn't trade off this dark squared bishop because this dark squared bishop is a really important piece in this attack against the black king here on g8. So knight to b6 by Tal here. And Tal also has a very poisoned idea in this position, which Avisky completely misses. So Avisky plays the move pawn to h5 and he continues with the attack. And he says, well, okay, I'm going to go pawn g6, pawn h6. And this is the normal stuff that white usually does to open up the black king. And, after this, the rook, the bishop, and the queen are just going to, attack on the black king. So what did Iveski miss? So again, it's a very nice point for you guys to pause the video. Uh, in Sicilian defense, whenever black plays rook c8, this is a very important move in this entire sequence. And with the bishop on e6, knight on b6, and a very active knight on b4, there's surely going to be a tactical combination, in the near future. So you guys can pause the video, and for those who want to enjoy the show, Tal plays knight captures on a4 here. So this is a one of the best attacking styles that Tal has ever played in the Sicilian defense game. And he basically is asking question to Avisky that okay, you can take the knight, but then you have to face the consequences. So if white takes knight captures on a4, black has bishop captures on b3 here. And this is just too much for black to handle. I mean, sorry, for white to handle. And the c2 pawn is completely weak here. There are three attackers, and not only the c2 pawn is under attack, the a4 knight is also under the attack. So there are two pieces under the attack. You can play knight to c3 here, but then comes the last poison move, knight captures on c2. And it's more or less game over because it may seem that the position is equalish, but it's more than that. Because bishop on e3 is not only the piece under the attack, but the g5 pawn is the one piece that is dependent upon the bishop on e3. So once this bishop falls, bishop captures on g5, pinning the queen is surely going to be the idea. And the best black is aiming for is the queen in this position. I mean, at least the bishop is completely lost here. Okay, so this position is much difficult for white to play. So of course, Aveski doesn't go for it. He sees all of this and he plays the move pawn to g6 here. So he says, well, okay, the best reaction to attack is a counter attack. So you don't react to the attack. The more you react, the more fatal it gets. So the best option is to counter attack. And g6 is the exact move that Aveski plays. But the speed of Tal's attack here is too much. So again, I will ask you guys to pause the video because the next move that Tal plays actually completely destroys and pierces through the defenses upon of the white king. So the correct moment to pause the video, and there's a lot to add to it when you guys find the move. Okay, so for those who found it, congratulations, you're a nice attacker, and a nice attacker is always, ignorant towards opponent's slow attack. Because this attack is slow, this attack can be ignored, and Tal plays the move bishop captures on b3 here. Tal says, well, okay, I'm not cared about what you do. If you capture on h7, I'm just going to play king h8. My king is completely inert, and for h6, simply g6, and there is no these two pawns are actually white pawns, but they are acting as a nice shelter to the black king, and there is no way to get through this defense. So Tal has an idea for this. So of course that is why he captures bishop captures on b3. And with this, Tal also is setting up a trap. Of course, Avisky captured the bishop. There is no other option for Avisky. because you have lost a piece and there is no way you can capture the knight because then the rook simply captures the c2 pawn. It's game over. You lose the queen. So I will see captures, C captures on B3 here, and now Tal plays knight captures on C3. And Tal says, well, okay, now how do you take the knight back? Now your king is open. You have to take, otherwise this knight will come to E4, checking the king, the rook checking the king, and the knight taking up the queen, and that will be, such an unfortunate scene for white. So you can't allow that. So Aveski captures B captures on C3, and now again, this is one of the point in the game where you guys can pause the video for finding Tal's next move. It's again, Tal is all about sacrifice after sacrifice after sacrifice. So that just justifies Tal's style of play. So feel free to pause the video while I give you a couple of seconds. Yeah. For those who got it, congratulations. You're now master of tactics. Tal actually plays rook captures on c3 check here. Making the use of the fact that the queen cannot capture the rook because then knight a2 check forks the queen and the king and you lose the queen on the spot. So rook captures on c3 check here. And this is the first moment in the game where Avisky should realize that, this g6 was a completely, unnecessary attempt of attacking. Rather than that, he could have tried and defended the king much better rather than trying to launch a counter attack. Because this rook c3 actually forces white to capture. I mean, if you don't capture, you see what happens in the game. But this was the first alert signal for Avisky that you gotta give your queen back. There's no other defense against the white king. So he tried king to b1 in the game here, but now comes rook to b3 check by Tal. And again, there is no option but to give the queen by queen b2 because if you play king c1, the c file is open, queen c7 check or queen c8 check both are just fatal for white. So you can't step in the c file. And if you don't step in the c file, there's only one option, that is what Iveski played, king to a1. But now Tal finds a very calm move in middle of this entire storm that just finishes off the game on the spot. So again, you guys can pause the video, but it's not that difficult move to spot. If you play the move according to the idea that Tal has played, you will find the move pretty much in a second. So feel free to pause the video. Yeah, for those who found, congratulations, you are a very nice you know attacker, whereby you involve all your pieces into attack. And Tal exactly does the same thing. Tal plays the move queen to d7, and this is all over. I mean, Abeski resigned here. Tal was victorious, but why did he resign? Because there is no defense against queen to a4 check. And now you have to play queen to a2, giving up the queen. But now it doesn't end just giving up the queen, because after knight captures on a2, still you can't capture the knight because queen to a4 is still a nice little checkmate. So now even the queen is not going to defend the white king because the white king is in too much of a bad position. So this was a completely, nightmare for Avisky. And this is a real example why Tal was called tactical beast because there was nothing in the position when he played knight b6, and suddenly after knight a4 everything just fell upon white pieces, and the king lost its balance in the middle of the game. So again, a great attacking game by Mikhail Tal. It is really important for players who study the Sicilian defense to study this game. A nice example of attack by the black pieces in the Sicilian defense. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of today. So we will be back in the 11th episode of Tal with another fierce attacking game of Mikhail Tal. Till then, have a good day, have a good weekend, and see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.